Hello and welcome back to Walk the Cinema podcast. This week we have AnimeShoshin joining us again, and we're going to be talking about Interstellar 4.5.
So Interstella 4.5 was my idea.
Yes.
I saw this in high school, and I just was having like a nostalgic feeling, and I was like, oh, this is an anime that I kind of know, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it, so...
Wait, so is it called Interstellar 4.5, not 5.5.5.5?
Yeah,
that's
that's
too
what
long.
4 5s.
Yeah, I used to call it that, but then I like watched something on it before,
like-
and they said it was 4.5, and I was like,
You're
okay,
like,
that
back when
makes...
I was an idiot, I also called it that.
Technically,
Well, it was
it's
before I,
Interstella 5555, the story of the secret star system where all the S's are fives,
Yes.
right? Okay, so we're talking
That's
about
the long-
the same movie. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. I was worried,
Yes.
like Merv was for a minute. When he said, I know what was going on in his head. He's like, oh crap, did we watch the wrong thing?
No, it's the same thing, and I liked it because, you know, it combines this storytelling with one of my favorite albums of all time, so I thought this would be a kind of fun episode.
Yeah, this is a movie episode, an anime episode, and a song episode, I guess.
Music episode.
So we're covering a lot of topics here. But you love this band and you love this album, so you tell us what this is.
Well, it's essentially a very long music video for
Yeah.
the entire album of their album Discovery, and it follows this intergalactic band from some planet far away in some solar system that gets kidnapped and brought to Earth, and it follows their journey trying to get back home.
Yeah. I found it very early to be a criticism of the music industry. Like, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure. The big bad guy that's like 1,000 years old or whatever is also the record industry producer who's been kidnapping. I think the one was either Mozart or Bach. It was,
Yeah.
like, one of the first ones that they showed.
Oh, I put it down as Beethoven. I must have.
It could have
It's
been any
one of them.
Yeah.
it's
It
one
had
of
like
those.
Aretha Franklin too, or like who I thought was Aretha Franklin, and you know, all these artists
Yeah.
that were...
The band is Daft Punk, if people don't.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Daft Punk, yes. So very like, their music's kind of, I think it fits the animation style that they went for, where
Yeah.
it does feel futuristic and kind of out of this world. So
They do this a lot, right? They've done like 4 movie-ish things. They're not all animation like this. I think they've done
No.
this for like at least 3 of their albums.
Not anymore, though, because they broke up, right?
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
They
which
did.
is a
It
bummer.
was a little, heartbreaking for
Yeah.
me. Never got to witness them in concert, which was a goal of mine. But oh well.
But this is the one more time, and then I always get the words wrong, but harder, better, faster, stronger. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
album.
In some
This is-
order.
this is the one that that really, I mean, they were popular, but this is the one that really blew them up. And I've got a, you know, when we get to our likes and stuff and what we liked about it, I've got a story, Kate, because you mentioned that this was one that you liked. I've got a story kind of about my past with this album as well that I'll be interested to tell everyone.
Well, very cool. So yeah, this is just a really fun visual experience. I kind of wanted to get you guys' perspective on like the anime side, because I obviously haven't watched that much anime.
Yeah,
but-
we don't know the directors, but I saw a lot of the directors who were involved with Dragon Ball. That's all I know.
Yeah.
This-
What was his
This
name?
most reminded me though, like what I loved about the animation was it felt like a 80s/90s animation. So we've been doing this, I don't know how many months, but I haven't watched nearly as much anime as Blake, but one of the biggest disagreements we've had on our show is Akira, which I loved and Blake just thinks is whatever. But one of the things I love about it is the animation style, because it reminds me of like 80s, 90s stuff, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Voltron and stuff that I used to watch. And this like reeked in the best possible way of Voltron
Yeah.
to me, in the art style. The characters were like kind of like the drool. The drool had more purplish skin, but they had like the blue skin at first when they were aliens and stuff. So that it was like nostalgic for me, and I'm sure that's kind of what they were going for. It had like an older animation feel, probably what they remember.
Yeah, or it's on the end of that animation style because this is 2003, or this came out in 2003. I thought very much Cowboy Bebop. I thought that's where you were going to go with it. This made me think of Cowboy Bebop and the aesthetic. One thing that I really, really, really like about the animation in this is the characters, especially in the band, are very attractive. And I think they're more attractive than even your typical anime characters are drawn, which they're always drawn attractively. But
Right.
I think they did a really good job of making them unique looking, but also highly attractive. So I love the character designs in this a lot, especially from an anime perspective.
And they're always, if they ever become unclothed, they're all wearing thongs.
Mm-hmm. Which is also
nice.
very anime to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just assume Daft Punk wears thongs and a helmet in their daily lives.
Nice.
That's how they go to the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that it kind of reminded you of like the older style, because I know that for them, when they talked about creating something like this, they were originally thinking of doing a live action movie for this. But those plans kind of fell through, and I don't remember why, but when they started talking about like what they wanted to do instead, they started talking about anime, and how this album was kind of a representation of like their childhood a little bit, where this album Discovery had elements of what they remembered as children, whereas their previous album with Homework was more about the future and about, you know, all that stuff. So they really wanted to work with an animator from their childhood that they remembered watching, and I think they said it was Captain Harlock.
Yep, that sounds right. Yeah.
And
No idea.
I can't remember the guy's name, but they
Yeah, it's
ended
some
up
with an
working
L.
with him.
I wish I would have wrote
Yeah.
it down, but yeah, but yeah, you're right with the animation style that it was based on was that Captain Harlock for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that they got to work with
Yeah.
one of their childhood heroes on a piece of art that they were involved in.
Yeah, and I guess it shows the power of their music, because a Japanese director being involved with this band has to mean something for the reach that they have with their music.
Yeah, and anything that takes anime and pulls it into other cultures, you know, American, French, whatever, I'm a fan of. So anything that gets it more exposure, and I think this did a good job of that, especially at the time. One criticism I do have is I wish it was set up more like a musical instead of a music video. I wish there was some dialogue. I mean, the story, you can follow the story. It's a simple enough plot. But I wish there would have been some dialogue done, because I think if there were, this would have been like a cult hit. You know, and when we say cult hit, we're talking like Labyrinth, you know, that type of... This is something that would have endured longer than just an hour and 20-minute long music video, where now it's, you know, something you can find free on YouTube. And I think if they would have
really
just
agree with
added
that.
in some dialogue, it would have made this huge.
Well, you'd feel a lot closer to the characters, I think, if they talked.
I think they dropped storytelling a little bit to just do it their way.
Yeah.
And yeah, culturally it didn't impact as much, but for what they were going for, breaking this up into separate music videos that they put out individually as well, I guess it works better that way. But it would be a better movie if they focus more on the storytelling.
Yeah.
But it's more about music and animation and not really a story.
Yeah, but I do agree that if it had the storyline, it probably would, because I do like the overall plot where you have like the band being kidnapped, and then you have just this random star guy, or like he's the hero of the planet that is just obsessed with this band, and he has a guitar shaped spaceship
Yeah.
that he rides around, and he tries to go and save them.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a good plot, and I think it could have been fleshed out a little bit more had it been more like...
But even not even
based.
just the fleshing out, it kind of just jumps from song to song, and you're just excited for the next song at some points. It's like, oh, this is really good, and you kind of forget the story
Mm.
because the music is so good.
There's some scenes too where the music, the chase scene is one where it's like, so okay, first the good ones when they're getting in the pods and it's like hitting right with the beats is cool, and when they're in the funeral scene with the when the flowers are growing, it's like popping right with the beat, and then sometimes it's either like a beat off and it's like, oh, why didn't you just hit the beat where that is? Or in the chase scene that was like a montage, a cool harmonic piece comes in, but it's just in the middle of the montage instead of like at a shift and stuff. So the parts where it was like spot on with the music, I thought were super powerful. And like that was like when I was having the most fun. It's like, oh, this is right with the music. And then the parts where they were where it was like either a little bit off, or it's like we're just doing this scene and the music is gonna just keep playing how it's playing. That's when I thought when I was like, oh, it's a missed opportunity right there.
I
I
have
noticed
that
it too.
I have that exact same thing, and I have it often the tempo of the music didn't match the tone of the scene. And it was a bummer because there would be a slower song playing during a more action-packed scene, but it's not like they didn't have faster songs that could have been intercut. So I do think a little bit of the order. I do want to say one other thing about the order. I feel like they threw all the hits in right away. Like One More
agree.
Time is the first song, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is the third song, and by the halfway point, all of the great songs on that album have been played. So I don't know if that was
that you've heard. Yeah.
intentional
I definitely
or not,
agree.
but-
And that was kind of like something, because I haven't watched this in probably 6 or so years. So it definitely, going back to it, that was a point that I noticed where it seems like the songs and the visuals kind of match a little bit more at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as it kind of progresses, it gets a little less impactful, because I think like the Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is like when they're being transformed into humans and their memories get wiped, and it's really like a fast-paced type of song. It kind of like amps up the anxiety a little bit of like what's happening.
It does feel that the songs that weren't as popular didn't get as much thought behind them.
Yeah, that might
And
be
yeah, it
it.
was very noticeable when the motif of the imagery didn't match the song at all. It was just very slow, and they're running, and just, I don't know, maybe they were going for something that we missed, but I don't think so. I think it was just, at that point, maybe they were tired, or they wanted to wrap it up, or just didn't have any ideas.
The last song too was like, wait, we got to fill like 4 minutes here, so they just like did clips from the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like just at the end, they're like, oh yeah, they're flying and they're sitting around kind of bored. Throw in some clips from the movie that's more exciting. And I mean, it's understandable because probably none of those, they know they weren't, well, they released them, but they knew like when they released them, they wouldn't really be the popular videos.
Yeah.
So the ones that were the more popular videos, they did the better.
If
visuals
those were
and
even
stuff.
pulled as a video, which I don't know if those individually did. I feel like only the ones that were, the singles got pulled as individual videos. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I think the more action ones would definitely play on MTV, but there's a lot that just, maybe they're just for the movie. I'm not sure either.
I think they're all on YouTube now, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think
everything is.
at the time, I think I saw that maybe it had aired completely on Cartoon Network at some point, but
okay.
I don't think that it had like all of them be individual.
Can you imagine how
music videos.
confused you would be watching Cartoon Network and that just pops up?
Well, if you're watching Cartoon Network as Adult Swim, you're probably so high anyway that this is like super cool.
It's just
When
your
this comes
regular-
on, you're just ready.
This is really cool no matter what. I really did enjoy it. And
No,
I'm
it
not
is
a
cool,
huge
yeah.
Daft Punk fan, and I didn't know about this, but yeah, I did enjoy it. And it's a great album.
So speaking of high, I'd like to tell a story, if you don't mind. Just kind of some notes I have about this, and Kate, you picked this, right, Kate?
Yeah, I
remember
did.
right? Yeah, so I think this was a good pick, and it had a lot of nostalgia berries for me, to use the current term. So it brought me right back to 2003, hanging out with a bunch of other kids in an empty warehouse, that was co-opted for a rave that you'd only know about if someone gave you a flyer. And I'm spinning green and blue glow sticks on strings in 10-foot arcs and circles around my head in tandem with two of my friends who are doing the same. And our circles of light are moving in and out of each other. How no one ever lost an eye from this, I have no idea, but we took plenty of shots to the nuts whenever the strings would tangle up and we weren't quick enough to jump out of the way. I've got on red running pants and an orange t-shirt that says Mission Orange, which was a band an old friend of mine was in at the time. And I am dancing my butt off all night, drinking lots of water, chomping on a ton of cough drops, and taking a break every so often to crack my back. Anyone familiar with the rave scene back then will know exactly what I'm talking about. 10 hours later, the music stops and the push handle doors open to reveal the sunrise. I'm squinting as my eyes get used to the light. It's 8 a.m. So I head home and sleep until it's night again. Until one more time, we're going to celebrate. Oh yeah, all right. Don't stop the dancing.
That's poetic. It is poetic.
That is what this made me think of as I started watching it. It brought me right back to that
great.
time in someone I know's life who may or may not be myself.
It definitely sounds like a really good time. That's why I like this album so much. It just like, I don't know, makes you want to move.
Yeah.
And like, I was just sitting, on the couch, just like dancing, and he was just like, "You're being really lame right now."
That's what I like about movies in
watch.
general, though.
Yeah.
It's very easy to watch. But that's what I like about movies. Everyone has different memories about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had his raving memories. You had your high school memories, and I didn't have any, but I formed new ones.
Yeah.
And in the future, we can talk about the time we watched it for the first time, and that's great.
Yeah.
When we did that podcast on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig the music, and from the time, talking about bobbing your head and being really lame, that was super cool thing to do. Like, that was the cool thing to do. So
back in 2003.
Yeah. Which is funny that is so long ago now. That's very strange.
Yeah.
For us.
2003 was so long ago, but it doesn't feel like it.
You guys are, I feel like, much younger than us.
I was going into first grade in 2003, I think.
Yeah.
You're like, after that rave, I quick did my spelling homework.
I was in kindergarten. Well, no, I wasn't even in kindergarten yet, because you're 2 grades ahead of me.
Yeah.
But
I was also in kindergarten doing all
too.
those things I talked about.
So I guess we're about the same age.
Yeah.
No, I found this in, I think it was around 2013 or 14.
Okay.
And
So when you say you watched it in high school, you don't mean in a class. You mean just like with some friends.
Just
okay.
me. Well, it's just me. No,
school aged.
I was kind of the only person that was like, I tried to get my friends to watch this stuff with me, but they didn't want to, because I was really into Gorillaz back then too.
Oh yeah.
And I liked their little animated music videos too. So when I saw, I was like, I want to see more music videos that have like a little storyline and stuff like that. And so I found, I think it was Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger first, like that first music video.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that, I found out that this was like a movie that they made. So then I watched that and I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It is pretty great.
But none of my friends were digging it. They're like, this is stupid.
High schoolers are lame, and they want to stick to new things and fit in.
Yeah.
I guess you're just ahead of your time.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like it would almost be more well received now than in 2003 from like the younger generation, this younger generation compared to that one, because I think there's a lot more electronica music now.
Yeah.
More EDM and house.
Yeah, you would think that there would be more people that would have joined me in my experience, because there was like Skrillex was kind of big back then.
Yeah.
All my friends like Skrillex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're coming off MTV. You're not really watching music videos. I don't know. It's different, I guess. But when this came out, I would assume a lot of people didn't even know about it. This feels like it wasn't very publicized. I never heard of it.
Yeah, that's true. I
It
haven't
was.
met very many people that have.
Let me think of an try to think of an example, because there are pockets of culture that things like this are huge. You know, in my friend group, everyone knew about this. Everyone watched this. You know, it was a big deal. Seeing Daft Punk was a big deal. And yet there were other pockets where Daft Punk, who's that, right? So I think
that was my friend group.
Yes.
We were playing D&D and like listening to Metallica. That was about it.
Yeah. My friend group was just into hip hop and nothing special. It was just boring, I guess. Late 2010 or mid 2010s music wasn't a great time for music.
Frankly, things have gotten a lot less wild. If I were to describe it, things are a lot less wild than they used to be. A little tamer.
Yeah, I feel like people don't try things as much if it's not going to either like make money or be viral. So like something like this, you have to commend, because I don't even think it'd be tried today.
I think most studios wouldn't be open to letting their artists do this. It would involve a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of calling favors probably, and it just wouldn't result in profit.
Yeah, I know that in 2013, Fall Out Boy did a very similar thing where they made a music video for all of their songs on their album, but that kind of came out as parts. Like, it would take months in between these types of segments, so...
The Counting Crows just recently did it, sort of. They did one small 4-song EP where all the songs run into each other. As one ends, the next one picks up. And it's pretty seamless. And they did but it's only 4 songs, so it's only like 25 minutes or whatever. But they did a video for all 4 of them that kind of tells a story. But like no one knows what that is. So.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and give the ratings.
Right.
Just to, wind down. But what did you give it?
A 7 out of 10, I think. Just not a great movie. It's a great project. Just as a movie, it's a 7 out of 10,
fair.
in my opinion.
I gave it a 9 out of 10, but I think that's mostly nostalgic, me really liking the music and just having a good time. But I do see it has flaws, so that's why it's not like a 10, because I do get a little bored towards the end, especially when the music doesn't match like the
action.
Yeah, the action that's going on.
I gave it a 7. I'm right there at a 7. I like the project a lot and like fully support any band that does this. Electronic music isn't my favorite, but this is still good, so that tells you something.
Yeah, I would say my 2003 self gives this a 10. 10 out of 10. Don't even have to think twice about it. It's a perfect piece of art for me back then. My 2022 self gives it like a 6.
The old curmudgeon.
I'm old. Yep.
Yeah.
So to me, it's an 8 at this point, right? If I mix my two selves together, I give it a solid 8. And I did, at least, especially the first half, and I know we've all kind of brought this bit up, but the first half, I was really into it. The songs were coming up that I knew and that I loved, and then the second half was a little harder to get through. So, but
well, also the story almost, it doesn't end, but they escape basically at the middle point, at the midpoint, and so the whole rest is them kind of just like, there's a little heist thing, but it feels like the ending like halfway through. It's like, oh, they escaped and now they're free, and then we still have 40 minutes of songs.
Part of it being individual music videos where they needed just something for every episode.
Yeah.
Where they needed to put out something that people would enjoy, and it couldn't just be the middle of a story. So it does have a lot of endings, I guess, or continuation of something that's
Which
not
is
necessary.
fair.
Yeah.
It makes sense from a business standpoint why they would do that.
Yeah. I'm just glad nobody hated it and that I didn't suggest something that was trash and everyone didn't want to watch.
No, and we would tell you, like we would
Oh, we
totally
would.
tell you.
We would 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. So good choice, Kate, and thank you for the idea.
Thank you guys for talking to us.
Yeah, go check out AnimeShoshin on every podcasting platform and YouTube. And we're going to be on their podcast soon, eventually. I don't know when it's coming out, but you can find us there. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, thanks for having us.
AnimeShoshin.com if you want to find where to find us. Super simple.